We're here today with our friends from Thomas Jefferson School talking about budgeting. The number of unknowns for this situation bring the need for flexibility when budgeting. Can you talk about your approach to planning in a period with this much uncertainty?
Yeah, I think the main need is for flexibility, to be a little bit flexible in what we're planning, knowing that there's going to be some sort of best case scenario and some sort of worst case scenario. The reality is probably going to be somewhere in between. But looking at those edge cases is really helpful. Defining those for your school, that's really helpful. What's the reality? It's somewhere in between. If we're here, what are the steps that we're going to take? If we're over here, what are the steps that we're going to take? Defining those edges, I think, was really helpful for us.
As you think about budgeting, it's a twofold focus on growing revenue while cutting costs. How have you approached next year's budget perspective of both sides?
Well, you're definitely right that it has to be a twofold focus. We tend to focus a lot on the cost cutting, but we really need to grow as well and to address this from the revenue side. We just need to be creative and be flexible and look at the opportunities that this situation may create for us. I know from our board perspective, we're looking at additional ways to use the campus that might be revenue producing. We're looking at what have we learned from the online learning system that might be a revenue producing means, and are there summer programs that we can offer? Trying to really explore all kinds of different opportunities on the revenue side and keep the focus there.
In addition to the revenue side and looking at potential cuts, I think that there is also an important aspect of looking at unexpected costs that we haven't had in previous years. Examples could be just something as simple as professional development to really set up our teachers to be as successful as possible in the new, given the new online learning model. Are there additional cleaning services, custodial services that we're going to need in the fall to get started? Are we going to need to supply extra health costs? And that could be even personal protective equipment for staff, faculty, potentially students. Do we need to look at online textbooks to allow for some more flexibility? Do we need to look at different learning management systems to really to capture all of what we're doing in the fall? So in addition to those revenue sides and looking at cost cutting, we also have to be a little prepared for additional costs that are going to come in.
By nature, your school's smaller staff and classroom sizes have really proven to be assets during this time of challenge. As you consider the future of the school, how will the evolution of both the budget and overarching institution react?
Yeah, we've been really lucky to be able to take advantage of our small size. So independent schools have really touted their success on small class sizes. At our school, we're looking to lean into that even more. We know that there's a lot of research about tutoring models and very, very small group sizes. So for our school, being small, we're nimble, we're flexible. That comes with downsides too. But can we take what we've really learned from this moment and go even further, embrace that individual attention that we know parents really want, but it's also going to be what's successful for our students.
Yeah, I think that flexibility is really important, that schools need to be aware that particularly in this climate, budgeting is an ongoing process. The budget document has to be a working document, particularly now. Changes are going to happen, and the stakeholders need to be aware that changes are going to happen and that things aren't locked in stone. And from a board perspective, from the fiscal oversight perspective, you have to remember that we have to keep looking at it and keep seeing whether adjustments are necessary and how we can respond flexibly in this particular climate. The whole process is important and ongoing.
Thank you again for taking time to share some of your thoughts on budgeting at this time. Really appreciate your insights.